Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Sacred Union Energy Update. I am so happy to be back and almost settled in a new space. This is a temporary setup until I get all my furniture moved in. But it feels good. It feels good to be somewhat back. So we're going to be looking at the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine today. What I want you to do is take it as it resonates for you, whether this is for a soul connection, whether this is for yourself and your own healing or ascension growth journey. Do take it as it resonates for you. And let me know if you guys can hear me okay, if the setup is okay. I just want to make sure that you guys can see everything and that everything is working all right. I do share a little bit about my personal experiences with this energy in a sacred channeling over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections. I'm hoping to have another channeling up sometime this week where we'll look into these energies a little bit further and channel. That was mostly just me speaking on behalf of myself and my own experiences on this journey. But I want to start diving a little bit deeper and channeling some information as far as why we are really experiencing these energies and what that really means as a whole. There's been a lot of insight that I've been gaining, a lot of downloads I've been receiving as far as this energy and what's to come and what we're creating. So I really want to speak about that and channel a little bit deeper. So hang in there with me. I'm in a little bit of a transition period, so things are kind of hit or miss right now when it comes to being able to upload videos and doing those channelings. But especially as we move into the new year, as I get a little bit more settled, we are going to be diving much deeper into channeling, into understanding these energies, and into just more topics. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. And we'll have some continued Sacred Union energy updates as well. Making a choice. This is really interesting because this is what I was talking about in the Sacred Channeling when I was sharing my own experience. It feels a little bit like you and your counterpart might be going your individual ways. I don't want to call it separate ways, because that evokes the energy of separation, and you are not separate. But rather what's happening is it's like you're walking the same path, but you might be taking a little bit of a detour. You might want to explore this. Your partner might need to explore that, for example. So it's like there's these choices that need to be made, but as long as you're following your peace, as long as you're following your own heart, as long as you're following your path, you can't go wrong, because it will end up where you need to be. You will end up exactly where you need to be. It just kind of feels like it might be diverging right now, but that's so that you can focus on yourself. That is so that you could learn what you need to learn, perhaps even outside the connection. Up until this point, the focus has been the connection, and that had been to your growth, and that had been also to somewhat of your detriment. And I only say that because it's time to really embrace yourself outside of the connection. Who are you outside of the connection? And once you do that, that's when the conscious connection can really cement itself and anchor itself into the physical. If you're just going through your healing journey, if you're just going through your growth for the purpose of this connection, then you are denying yourself a huge aspect of your growth journey. You're denying yourself a connection to yourself. You're denying yourself a connection to God source. And so I feel like this is just realignment. I feel like we, especially divine feminines, divine masculines, have been experiencing this as well. We really have been going on these journeys together with our divine counterparts in that conscious awareness. I'm healing this, so they must be healing that. What are they working on? What are they doing? And it's really a time where we need to focus on ourselves. Where do I need to grow? Where do I need to heal outside of the connection? That does not create separation. That does not mean that you are not wanting your divine counterpart, wanting a relationship with your divine counterpart, or that you will not have a relationship with your divine counterpart. It simply means that you are focusing the energy where it needs to be, which is on the self, which is on the conscious self. Now, this is not a selfish energy. It is an energy of the more you focus on yourself, the more you fill up your cup, the more you're able to offer that to others, especially in a healthy conscious connection, in a healthy conscious soul connection. And so it might feel like you kind of took a detour. It might feel like, well, you're going this way, and your counterpart might be saying, no, we're going this way. It's a time for you to explore on your own. This is a time for individuality, and not individuality as far as uniqueness and identity, although that could be explored. It's individuality as far as where were you still settling? Where were you not entirely happy with your creations? Where were you still overgiving or over-sacrificing or creating codependent bonds? Where do you need to draw back and allow yourself to embrace and honor the fullness of your own path outside of somebody else or outside of the energy of somebody else? That's what this is all about. And I'm just pointed towards the butterflies here that are just flying all over this card. It's like that's what creates the transformation within your physical connection. That's what creates the healthy, conscious connection, the healthy, conscious, and divine relationship. So this might feel like some paths have diverged, but this is for a purpose. This is for healing. This is for growth. This is actually a beautiful energy. And it might not feel so good to the ego who doesn't like this change, to the ego who is still attached. But once you anchor into that feeling of peace, you can see, okay, this is what's necessary. In order for us to have XYZ, this is what's necessary for me to follow this path, for me to embrace this me and the new energy that I'm in order to accept and allow the new energy that I want my divine counterpart to be in. The more you embrace and accept where you are, the more you're able to embrace and accept what is to come. And it feels like what's to come down the pipeline is just something new and transformed and really beautiful and aligned to the new energy that you have entered into. It's like this. It's like you've entered into a new energy, divine feminine, and take it as it resonates for you. But for the majority of you, it's you as a divine feminine. You've really anchored into a brand new energy. And so your connection must transform. Otherwise, you're just bringing your energy down to settle into the old energy. But the old energy is stagnant. It is heavy. It's dense. This new energy is lighter. It's peace-filled. It's abundant. It's light. It's love. That's the new energy that you're really anchored into. And if you're just kind of holding on to the past, including your past masculine, including your past connection, your past relationship, whatever it is that you're holding on to, then you're not allowing yourself to fully thrive and embody the new energy that you're in. And you're holding your divine counterpart back as well. So even though it might feel very challenging or difficult to let go or to move forward and move on in your own life, that's necessary in order for transformation to take place, because your divine counterpart needs to transform as well. And if you're still holding on, then you're holding on to an old version of them. You're not allowing them to fully transform. You're not allowing them to walk their own individual path because you're not walking yours. You're still focused on them. You're not walking your path. You're not walking your individual path. You're still focused on them. It's interesting that I was called to put this tarot cloth down because we've been channeling a lot with this symbol here. The circle. A couple of months ago, years ago, gosh, time just feels so crazy right now. It feels like we've experienced an entire lifetime just in October alone. I don't even recognize yesterday. Recognize doesn't even exist for me anymore. It's the craziest thing. Tomorrow doesn't exist either. I'm only anchored into the present moment. It's so unreal. Anyway, what's happening is you have this circle, right? This is you and your divine union. There is no separation whatsoever. You are on the same energetic frequency, the same wave, even though it might not look it all the time. So what happens is you have that moment of recognition. This is the start of your ascension journey together. You have that moment of recognition. And then some of you might go on your own separate paths because you need that for your journey. Even if you are in physical contact throughout the whole of your journey, even though some of you might be in non-communication, some of you might have been in physical communication or physical contact through your whole journey, but you need to walk your individual paths for your own lessons, your own healing, your own growth journey as a whole. And that's how you come back into connection so that you can then follow this together. Well, it feels like we are almost like returning to the beginning again. But that's needed. It's like one phase of your journey has come to an end and a new one is beginning, but it's almost like you had to revisit your journey in order for the new beginning to take place. You had to revisit what it's like to walk your separate paths in order to come back together in a conscious way. Because when you were walking your paths, when you were going through this ascension journey up until this point, what it was triggering, it was projections, it was seeing through the lens of wounding versus through the lens of love, and you had always seen each other through the lens of love. There was always love between you. But the wounding is what was coming up between you guys. It was the baggage, it was the soul sludge of your past experiences, of past lifetimes that was coming up between you guys, kind of, I don't want to say getting in the way. That's not the right terminology. But that was building up between you guys. And so it's like now you have to go your separate ways, your individual paths temporarily in order to recognize who you are as individuals without this connection. Even though you're always together, this connection can never be broken, this bond can never be broken. But you had to release the attachment, you had to release the need, you had to release the clinginess. Because that is the old template, that is the old paradigm that you are destroying in order to create something new in the higher vibrational energy of love that you are embodying, that you are in now. So you had to let go of the old. And so it's almost like you're returning to walking your separate individual paths right now in order to recognize that for yourself, in order to recognize who you are in this higher embodiment, in order to recognize your transformation, so that you're not looking back at who you were, and so that you're not looking at your masculine as who they were, who they used to be. So that when you do come together, you can see that transformation in a pure, divine way. And so that you can recognize that love that you have always held for each other, but now in a more conscious and healthy way. So even though it feels like there are so many changes and so many, I want to say, disruptions and so much upheaval in your connection or in your life as a whole right now, it's because you're aligning to the new. There's a new beginning that is happening here. And that new beginning is lighter. It is more harmonious. It is more love-filled. It is the embodiment of your divinity. Separation is the illusion. Allow yourself to embrace your life. Allow yourself to embrace your path. Allow yourself to embrace this transformation, this transformative energy that is coming in for the whole of your life. And your connection included. Allow this, accept this, embrace this. This is what creates transformation. You need to walk your own path right now. Make decisions for yourself, not sacrificing yourself, not overgiving. Standing in your truth. Following your peace. Expressing yourself in your authenticity, your boldness, your fierceness, your loving nature, the wholeness of who you are. And the more you do that, the more you align to that life and to that connection. And the more you're letting go of your divine masculine so that they can do the same. All right. So let's see what's going on for the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Okay, let's get the divine feminine first, since we're talking about the divine feminine right now. Let's get the divine feminine energy first, please. Divine feminine. Oh, that's too much. Divine feminine, please. Divine feminine. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is so interesting. We've received this energy. I'm going to take it one at a time here with the feminine and the masculine. We received this energy in the past couple of Sacred Union energy updates. If you guys remember, I can't remember the exact reading. If you guys do, please feel free to link it or drop the title in the comments below, and I'll put it in the description. I cannot remember which reading it was, but it was something very similar. It was a very similar energy where it felt like we were kind of in the void, or it felt like we were kind of in the desert, in this place where nothing was happening, no movement was happening, everything felt very empty. But then there was the energy of abundance that was coming in. We could still feel like there was something. That's this energy here. Things might be in turmoil right now. Things might feel a little bit in transition, like it's in a void, like we have lost everything. But what we don't understand is that we're actually gaining everything. From nothing, there's everything. That's a phrase that has been coming through for the past several weeks. In nothing, there is everything. When you realize that you need nothing, you realize that you have everything, especially everything within you. And that is the first step to anchoring in and embodying the energy of Christ consciousness, the energy of love consciousness, and the energy of unity consciousness. It is understanding that you have everything within you, that even though your physical world might feel like it's turned upside down, you are creating from that seeming destruction, you are creating everything from within you. And so your physical world might be crumbling, but it's only because you are aligning to the magic and the abundance of who you have become through this journey and through this transformation. There are new foundations that are taking root, but you had to destroy the old foundations in order for that to happen. The old foundations of things that you were just settling for. Old foundations of things that didn't feel aligned to your truth or aligned to your soul. Things that you were trying to force. Things that you were resisting. That had to crumble in order for you to recognize the truth. To find that clarity and to recognize that you have everything within you. This magic stream just feels like abundance that is pouring into your life, and you might not be able to see it just yet, but you can feel it. Honor that feeling. Honor that excitement, that anticipation. Honor the energy of this new beginning. That's exactly what this feels like here. What's going on for the divine masculine? Cleaning house. This is so interesting. I'm going to take this into the unknown at the bottom of the deck as well, because that's what this feels like. Cleaning house really feels like they are cleaning up the old. It just feels like that soul sludge. That's what I'm getting. It feels like soul sludge within them. And they're recognizing karma that needs to be cleaned up. The sludge that was holding them back. Beliefs, mindsets, addictions, habits, relationships, dynamics, toxic energy that just doesn't feel good anymore, that they were holding on to. You guys are mirroring each other here. Doing it from very different aspects, very different ways, but mirroring each other in the same energy of cleaning it up, of releasing the old in order to welcome in the new. These divine masculines are in a little bit of an uncomfortable state right now, however. They are feeling a little bit insecure because it is not known. But rather than surrendering like the divine feminine is, they're in this state of kind of, okay, which way do I go? Kind of feeling it out. It's like, you see how she has her hands up and she's blindfolded? It's like when you're walking in the dark. This is what they're showing me. It's like something's pitch black, like you're in a darkened room and you're kind of feeling along the walls. You have your arms out as you're walking, trying to feel along the walls for some sense of direction. These divine masculines are trying to find a sense of direction because everything feels in turmoil, everything feels upside down for them as well. But rather than surrendering to it and accepting it, they're still in a little bit of resistance, but that's what's being cleaned up right now. That's what's in the process of transforming right now. They're cleaning up the soul sludge, they're cleaning up the karmic energy, they're cleaning up the resistance, they're cleaning up the mindsets and the beliefs that had previously led them to this space, led them to this place that they are energetically in. And so it's a little bit unknown for them, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but they're in the process of transformation. Whereas you, divine feminine, you've led the way. You are leading the way, where you are really in the state of, okay, you know what? this doesn't feel comfortable, but I'm surrendering to it. I'm accepting it because I can feel the peace of it. I can feel like something's on the other side of this. Divine masculines are still kind of in a place of, I don't know what's on the other side of this. This doesn't feel comfortable. This doesn't feel good. Not quite in a place of surrender, but they are being led to surrender. They're just in the process of cleaning up that old energy. And they have to move through that old energy in order to reach the new. So that's where they're in the process of right now. Let's get some more cards here and see what else is going on. I'm going to use the sister deck here. I'm going to use the Wisdom of the Oracle and see what else we can get. What else do we need to know for the Divine Feminines? I'm getting drawn to these two doors here. Do you see that? This door with all the purples and indigos, it reminds me of the crown. It feels very ethereal, whereas this has a little bit of a more ominous look to it. It feels a little bit more cloudy. It feels a little bit more stormy. It feels a little bit more physical. So I do feel like that's where it is. It really feels like no matter what you're experiencing in the physical world, it really feels like Divine Feminine is really tapping into that surrender, really tapping into her faith, really tapping into her following her peace and her intuition. Divine Masculines are a little bit focused on the physical, and through that, I feel like they're having maybe a little bit of a harder time, but they're going to get through it. It really feels like they have to go through this door in order to understand themselves better, in order to clear this energy, in order to go through this transformation. They have to go through the unknown in order to recognize the certainty within themselves. This is part of their transformation. Divine Feminines, please. Thank you. Chaos and conflict and building blocks. Yes. So you might be experiencing some turmoil, some chaos in your physical world, in your external world, even in your internal world, some conflicting energies here. Again, this is the energy of conflict because it might feel like destruction, but there's creation. It might feel like something's turning upside down, but you know that there is something new that's coming. It might feel like an ending, but you know that there's a beginning. So it might be bringing up some conflict, but again, you know that it's building to something new. From this chaos and conflict, you know that it is creating a new, firmer foundation. So confirmation, validation in those cards there. Tell me about the Divine Masculine. Higher power. Yes, exactly. This is what they are transforming into. Again, they are in deep knowing here. They are walking through that doorway because they have to. It's almost like if they were in resistance to transformation and to change, they had to experience something very physical in their lives, a shift within their lives in order to access the faith and surrender within themselves. And I do feel like that's the doorway that they're moving through. They're moving through understanding themselves with more clarity, seeing themselves with more clarity, and shifting within themselves into the state of deeper knowing, into the state of connecting to their higher wisdom and connecting even to God's source energy itself. That's part of this cleaning up energy. So they're just moving and shifting through old cycles, clearing it up, cleaning it out in order to embrace the new divine conscious energy that they really are. This is all a transformative process. They've been going through this process very rapidly. It's been very, very difficult for them. I want to say for the past year, because anywhere that they were in resistance, the universe kept pushing them and pushing them and pushing them until they can be in resistance no longer. Again, they're being led to their surrender. And when they recognize their surrender, they recognize their connection to themselves and to God's source energy. So it might be a little bit of a difficult experience for Divine Masculines and Divine Feminines at this time, where things might feel like it's turned upside down, inside out. Take it as it resonates for you and your personal situation. It's going to look a little bit different for everybody because we're all on different paths, even though we're experiencing collective energy. But it really does feel like there is transformation that is occurring here, higher transformation that is occurring here. When I say higher transformation, I mean a real energy of integration and embodying the higher self and connection to God's source. Oh, okay, so let's see if we can get some tarot. I'm going to use these cards. tell me a little bit more about the Divine Feminine with regards to her connection. Let's do that. Divine Feminine with regards to her connection. What's she experiencing when it comes to her connection? Divine Feminine's in a little bit of a timeout period. She might have been experiencing a lot, and so she's in a state of pause. She's in a state of surrender as things balance out. I do feel like she's receiving a lot of clarity. She's receiving a lot of understanding, and through that understanding and clarity, she's receiving the sense of justice. She's receiving the sense of, okay, I understand where I wasn't being fair to myself. I understand where I wasn't honoring myself, and so this is bringing in justice to herself. And then it's going to bring in justice. It's going to ripple out to bring in justice and fairness and balance to the connection. So I do feel like things are balancing out, especially where things were uneven. But there's this sense of clarity. There's this sense of peace. There's this sense of understanding that's coming in. And I feel like it's because she is taking time out for herself. She's released this period of pause, this period of surrender. So there might not be a lot of forward movement for her. It might feel like things are a little bit stagnant. I'll give you guys an example. So even though I'm moving, it's like I can't take it too fast. I can only go step by step by step. I'm in this period of rest. I'm in this period of really honoring myself in any given moment. Okay, what do I need now? Okay, I need to eat a healthy lunch. Okay, I need to go for a walk to ground myself. Okay, I need to rest. Okay, I need to work. Whatever it is I'm being called to, I'm listening to my own inner intuition and just taking my time. That's what this really feels like. This feels like a sense of peace. This feels like a sense of just surrendering to the present moment. And from that place is when you're receiving balance and clarity within, this sense of, when I'm saying justice, it feels like getting what you deserve in a positive sense, in a sense of really honoring yourself and cherishing yourself. The universe then responding to that frequency. That's what this feels like. So there's a lot coming in for the Divine Feminines. When it comes to this connection, I don't feel like she is concentrating on the connection at all. It feels like there's a surrender and a time out from the connection itself. And that's what's creating more balance and harmony within herself. So it's interesting because I specifically asked about the connection here, but the energy that's coming forth is for the feminine energy herself. And that's because she's called to step back from the connection and focus on herself. And that is what's bringing in balance to her life and aligning her to the connection. So I hope that makes sense there. I'm going to use the same deck. Divine Masculines. What's coming through for the Divine Masculines, please? How is the Divine Masculines when it comes to this connection? Divine Masculine and the Sacred Union connection, please. We have the Devil energy here. And we have the Three of Cups. So I'm hearing the word attachment. So I feel like in some form, Divine Masculines are releasing some kind of attachment. I'm getting pointed to that bug. I've never noticed this before. I'm getting pointed to that bug. It's like a scarab beetle. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that totem is. I'm also getting pointed to the candle here. I feel like, there's some kind of clarity and understanding that's coming in for the Divine Masculine as far as the patterns that they have been repeating or the attachment that they have been holding on to in the past. It really feels like this devil energy, this toxic energy, I should say, is being released, especially with this Three of Cups. This Three of Cups is my union card. It's the two becoming one. It's my union card. It's the Trinity energy, a Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, in balance with God Source energy. I feel like the more they are releasing, cleaning up this toxic energy, this karmic energy, the more they are recognizing union within the self and union with their counterpart and union with God Source energy itself. It's like it's all happening at once, but it's because there is a releasing of the attachment, a releasing of the toxic energy that's happening here. And it's like it's two sides to the same coin. It's like the more They're recognizing union. The more they're clearing the toxic energy. The more they're clearing toxic energy, the more they're recognizing union. And what that really means, what does union really mean? Not necessarily a physical relationship, but it means that oneness. What is unity really? What does oneness really feel like? What does connection to God and all living consciousness really mean? What does embodying love really mean? That's what they're starting to understand. That's a union energy that's coming in here. I want to get some more on the divine masculines here. Tell me more about the divine masculine, please. Yeah. I feel like they're recognizing where they were doing it on their own. This, with the King of Swords here, it feels like a very stubborn energy, a very resistant energy, a very, like, I've got it all. I can do it all myself. A very isolated energy. And now it's like they're recognizing where they can do this from the Nine of Cups to a Ten of Cups. They're recognizing their self-worth. They're recognizing their ability to love themselves, recognizing their ability to be themselves, to speak up, to express themselves in their true authentic self, where they had really held themselves back before. Let me start over. Let me clarify what I was receiving before. So with the Nine of Cups, it feels like a selfish energy, I'll be honest. This Nine of Cups feels like I've got this all for myself and I don't need anybody. There's literally nobody else in the picture here. And even if there was, it was very self-absorbed. With this King of Swords, it's like very guarded energy, guarded against anybody really coming into the heart space. Now what's being changed is with this recognition, with this clearing of this toxic energy, recognizing of higher power, recognizing of that deep knowing within the self, recognition of the self, which has been a message that has been coming in the past several Sacred Union energy updates, acknowledgement and recognition of the self, of the authentic self, clearing away any of the masks, any of the illusions, any of the facades that they had been wearing. The more they do that, the more they embrace the Ten of Cups, which is community and relationship, partnership, home life, family, soul family, union with all. And the more they're able to speak their authentic truth, not using the sword as a guard, not using the sword as something to keep other people away, not using the sword as a weapon, but as a divine instrument of truth. Speaking true, showing the world who they are. This feels like transformation that is happening. It feels like they're still in the 9 and the King of Swords energy, which means that the process, the transformation is still taking root. Not quite to the 10 or the upside of the King of Swords, I should say. But that's what's clearing out here. The selfish energy, the energy where not feeling like I deserve anything else, wearing the mask, not being authentically them, not feeling connected. That's clearing out here. There's new insight and new understanding that is coming through here. Okay. Time is it? I'm going to start closing down on this one. Just want to get some guidance. I'm going to use the Keepers of the Light for some guidance. What does the Divine Feminine need to know? Okay, we have Hilarion, Divine Healing. Look at all that heart chakra energy. Honor your sensitivity, retreat to recharge and heal. Your light can support others. That's exactly this energy that we're picking up on here. That retreat, that pause, that surrender. The more that you come into balance with yourself and focusing on your individual path, the more you're filling up your cup and the more that you can light the way for others. And not just others, but the more you can come into a conscious, healthy sacred union, a harmonious, loving, fulfilled sacred union, because you're not giving too much of yourself away. You're not allowing others to take from you. You're not sacrificing yourself. You're not creating in an energy of old templates. You are honoring yourself. That's what's happening here. So allow yourself to keep healing. Allow yourself to have the open heart as you go through this process as well. Even though you might be experiencing some turmoil or some upheaval or some changes in your physical or internal worlds, Recognize that the heart is still open, that there is no resentment, that there's no anger. And you might feel anger, you might feel those pangs of resentment, you might feel a lot of emotions, but allow yourself to move through it, because that's just purging, that's just clearing. When you come back to yourself, when you come back to your center after clearing that, there's that open-heartedness, there's that sense of love, there's that sense of peace. That is divine healing that is taking place right now. Divine masculines. Divine masculine guidance, please. The Shekinah, perfect, the sacred self. That's all this energy here. This is the recognition, again, as they clear up the energy, as they release and clean the toxic energy within their system, the old thought patterns, mindsets, beliefs, addictions, habits, relationships, toxic energy. They're recognizing the sacred self within them. They're recognizing their truth, they're recognizing their authenticity, and they're recognizing that they can live in that truth, and they are meant to live in that truth without holding themselves back. This is divine recognition. This is connection to themselves, to their soul of themselves, to the spirit within themselves. Unleash your spirit, express your gifts, dance to the sacred rhythm of life. Recognize the connection within yourself. Connection of the Creator, recognition of God's source energy within yourself. As you do that, everything opens up. So I feel like divine masculines are going through a little bit of a tough time right now, because there's still a little bit of resistance, but that resistance is part of the process of this clearing and of this transformation, and they're going through it. They are doing it. They are transforming. They are becoming the conscious masculine. Divine feminines, you are embodying the conscious sacred feminine. And it might feel like you're going in two separate directions right now. It might feel like you have taken a detour apart from each other. But recognize that this is all necessary for the alignment of your sacred self. The recognition of the divinity within yourself. And the more you recognize that within yourself, without holding on to another person to recognize or validate that for you, or a connection or an energy to recognize or validate that for you, the more you're recognizing that within yourself, the more you're actually coming into alignment with that connection. Okay, I want to see if there's anything else, but with that, they pulled back. So I'm going to end this reading here. I'm sending you guys so much love, so much light, and we'll see you next time. Bye.